a little tutorial of all of the programs that you have the option of using. And so I'm going to be explaining Clip Studio Paint, Toon Boom Harmony, and Flip-a-Clip. Cole, you're explaining...
Piskel and Procreate. Piskel is online. If you log into your computers, we can do that in a bit, but first Celeste is going to do her thing. And then after that, Procreate, which is on the iPad, it's like 10 buckaroos, so I'll get into that later.
Yeah, and
then finally, I'll be explaining a couple introductory game engines, namely Godot, GDevelop, and Unity.
Alright. Okay, so... hold on. Yeah, so first I'm going to start off with Clip Studio Paint, if this wants to work. Sure, a lot of you have heard of Clip Studio Paint. Okay, we're gonna ignore the I'm sure some of you have heard of Clip Studio Paint, namely that recently it decided to go subscription-based, which is not good, because the only reason that I suggested it to people was, while it is a tad bit expensive, it used to be a one-time purchase. I think it can still get it as a one-time purchase, but yeah, you won't get any updates with it.
Which are kind of necessary in the far future.
It's not as necessary now, though. You basically have everything you need. But while Clip Studio is mainly an illustration-focused program, you can also make animations with it. So we're going to just quickly get started with that. So we're going to go up to File, New. You're going to go all the way and select this little icon that has a play button. It says Animation. You're going to click that, and you're going to come up with this screen. Right now, it has the preset of 1920 by 1080 pixels. That's about what you want to go with if you're making an animation. If you go bigger than that, while it is going to be high quality, it is going to kill your computer. Anything lower than that, you're killing the quality. So this is a good balance, and once you push the drop down, I think it might be the default is 1280 by 720, but if you just click 1920 by 1080, it's just going to do everything for you. Make sure that frame rate is at 24 frames per second. That's the standard for animation. And anything else is just extra stuff that you might use if you're doing more advanced stuff, but you really don't need for now. So once you've got all of that ready, you can make a file name. And click OK. And you're going to get something that looks like this. That little blue frame on that screen right there, that is going to be what the outermost edges of that 1920 by 1080. You get a little bit of a leeway outside of that in case you want to do a little bit more complex things with cameras, things like that. It's just also making the fill bucket tool a little bit easier to use. All that kind of fun stuff. So the main things you're going to be needing when you make an animation is frames and onion skin. Onion skin is basically a tool which you see the frame that was previous to the current frame and the frame afterwards. It's important to make a smooth animation, because say you want a ball going from the left to the right, you're going to want a ball that's in the middle at some point, so you're just not making a slideshow. So I'm going to do a little test drawing here. Say I have a ball over here. So that's going to be my first frame. And down here, you're going to have what's called a timeline. I think the default setup for Clip Studio doesn't have this timeline. If it doesn't, you can just go up to the window, click timeline right here, and it should show up. So right now I've got timeline. This blue thing extends the length of your overall animation. The red indicates what frame you're on right now. And this thing right here, this box shows how long this frame is showing. So right now it's at 8, so after 8 it just kind of disappears, and so does that white background. If you want the white background to stay, you just scroll down to where it says paper. And this little knob right here is a bit tiny. You just click and drag that all the way out. And so you've got one drawing, but you can't really make an animation with just one drawing. So you go to the next empty place and click this button right here. You see this loop-de-loop? It's 2 buttons down from that. So you can just click that and it makes another keyframe for you. But you can't see the previous frame. That's because onion skin isn't turned on. And that is this button right here. It says enable onion skin. It is 4 buttons away from that loop-de-loop. Just click that and now you see this light blue. That is the previous frame. So I'm going to draw a little ball on this side. And so you've got two frames. So if I hit play, got kind of going back and forth. Now that's not exactly a smooth animation. Those are what's called keyframes, the big movements. So if you want a smoother animation, you're going to need in-between frames. So you go in between these 1 and 2, somewhere around here, just click that make a new frame button, and you're going to get what's called 1A. That just indicates that it's the in-between frame that comes after 1. Here I can just add in another ball. Say I want to make another one around here. Add another one. And if I go through play, it's a bit fast. So if you don't want it to be as fast, you can click and drag this top bar to adjust the overall keyframes. And for in-betweens, this is a little bit confusing. You see how this little red line showed up in between the frames? You have to click and drag that. I don't know why they changed it. It is quite stupid in my opinion, but that's how you do it. And say you want to duplicate a frame to make an animation that's puppeted or something, make it easier to draw the next frame for more complex things like faces, things like that. Well, Clip Studio makes that the most difficult thing in the world. So say you want to duplicate this second layer, the second keyframe. So first you're going to create an empty cell frame. You see how it says 3 right there? It's a bit hard to see with this video quality if it says 3. Next, you're going to go to the second frame. You're going to copy with Control-C or Command-C if you're using a Mac. And then Control-V, paste that. You're going to notice this says 2A, but that's actually not going to show up unless you rename it to 3. And now it shows up as 3. And you get an empty 3, so you delete that, and that's how you duplicate a frame. Very convoluted and stupid. So that's the basics of what you need to know for Clip Studio Paint. And this is another important thing. Once you create the file, that does not create a save. I learned that the hard way last night when I lost all my in-betweens. So you're gonna go through. I'm sorry, my computer is kind of a disaster when it comes to the number of files I have. Just gonna go here and then click save, and finally you have a saved project. And you can quit peacefully. Alright, next we're going to move on to Toon Boom Harmony. Why did it say the stream has ended? It has not ended. It decided that it was over. That's great. So, we just found out that you can actually use Toon Boom Harmony on the computers you have with you right now. So if you guys just want to log in, give you guys a second to do that. One great thing about Toon Boom Harmony is that because it is an industry level program meant for animation, it's very easy. You have a simple user interface, relatively easy to do all these things like turning on onion skins, making new frames, puppeted animations, things like that. However, it's costs around like $1,500 a year. It's only subscription based. Yeah, it is. Huh?
Just look up Harmony.
Yeah, if you look up Harmony on the Windows bar, there should be a search bar. So just look up Harmony. It should pop up. And if this is the first time logging into Harmony, it's going to ask for some permission thing. Just click OK. And I am also going to open up Toon Boom Harmony. Another alternative, while it is an expensive upfront cost, there's TV Paint. It's also an industrial level. I think it's around $200 something for a student. However, you can use that student license even after you graduate, as long as you're not using it for major company stuff. And I've heard really good things about it. I just have not paid $200 something yet. I don't have that kind of money yet. I am saving up for it though. So once you open up Harmony, this is going to be the first screen that pops up. You can change the name to whatever you want. You can click Browse and choose which folder you want to save it in, which I think is much nicer than Clip Studio, which kind of tricks you and makes you believe that you've saved when you actually haven't. I'm just gonna choose the file, and with this, I think preset might be something else. You want HDTV underscore 1080p 24. That just means you're going to be in 1080 1920 by 1080 size, canvas size, and 24 frames per second. So if you click that, you've already got all your presets done, and you can just click Create Scene. And hope your computer doesn't freeze, which it didn't. So first thing you're going to be greeted with is this boring gray screen and a layer that's just titled Drawing. So this drawing layer, I believe, is kind of like the default cube of Blender. Some people choose to use it, but I strongly believe in deleting it. And next you're going to go to this plus button. First thing you want to make is called Color Card. So that basically gives you a white background. If you don't have this, whenever you try to export something, it's going to try to export it with a transparent background. AKA if you did black line art, it's just going to show up as an entirely black screen. And next, you can either click this button with 3 colors that says Add Drawing Layer, that's a shortcut for it, or you can click the plus drawing. That creates and you're going to be greeted with this screen. Just name it whatever you want. This is where you're going to be actually making drawings. So first things first, you can make a little, if you go up here to the sidebar, these are your tools. I like to use the pencil tool. Some people like to use the brush tool. Doesn't really matter, personal choice. So I'm going to draw a little circle. And you have now drawn a frame that whose length is just 1 frame. It's not really ideal, so you can go down here and click on this grayed out little frame. Do little right click, I think. Go to go to exposure. Go down to set exposure. This can change how many frames it's going to be showing for. So I usually like to default 6 for keyframes so I can more easily add in between frames. And now you've got a frame that lasts for 6 frames and you can actually see for more than just a split second. And once you move on, no need to actually create a new frame. Unlike with Clip Studio, you can just kind of keep on drawing. But you also want to turn on that onion skin. And to turn on that onion skin, you're going to go down to this layer. You're going to see this eye, this round button, and then this button that looks like pancakes stacked on top of each other. You're going to press that. If you hover over it, it says Add Onion Skin. One thing that's different about Toon Boom is that frames that are frames that come before the frame you're currently on show up in red instead of blue. but the frames that go afterwards show up in green. So you can just add your next keyframe, and you're going to right click, exposure, set exposure to something like 6. And now, if you want to create the in-betweens, you're going to go somewhere in the middle of the keyframes that you made. You're going to right click, go to drawings, and create empty drawing. So this creates you a new empty frame for you. And something that you'll notice is that these onion skins kind of appear and disappear depending on how far in the timeline you are. That's because Toon Boom has this neat thing where see these little knobs in between that red line that shows you what frame you are currently on. You can kind of extend that or shorten that so you can show more frames or less frames depending on what you're currently working on. So you can just go in, add yourself an in-between, kind of repeat the process, kind of go in between these drawings, create empty drawing, add another in between, and you can go through these and do the same right click, exposure, set exposure to edit how long these drawings will be showing for. And then if you press the play button, kind of basically shows you the animation, but you have a lot of empty space back here. That's because it defaults to showing 60 frames, and you can adjust that by going to this far right red line and clicking and dragging it. And you can make the animation repeat by pressing the 2 buttons far from this far left play button. Just click that, and it'll make a nice loop-de-loop for you. Sorry, that was a lot of information at once. That's kind of the crash course on what you need to use Toon Boom Harmony. Of course, it has a lot of more other features. One cool thing is that you can go to here. Say you hate this black line, you can just go to this color picker, kind of change the color, and it changes the color for all of your frames for you. So now you have a blue ball. And so that is it for the my portion of the computer programs. So I'm just gonna click out of here and end the stream on my end.